stock price seen post the numbers, just a bit of a dip, and that's where we are roughly at. But Lupin, on the other hand, is seeing quite a crack, severely depressed in trade after anemic first quarter numbers. Profit dropped 60%, revenues took a hit, weakness in US sales. Pankaj Podar caught up with Nilesh Gupta, the MD, and Ramesh Swaminathan, the CFO of Lupin. Listen in.
Lupin has declared its numbers overnight, and the top management of Lupin is now joining us. We have Nilesh Gupta and Ramesh, both from the top management, now joining us. Sir, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Nilesh, let me start with you first. US saw low sales in this quarter, whether you take it quarter on quarter, whether you take it versus expectation. What happened? Did the global lockdown around the world impact the company?
As you know, we had guided to a tough quarter when we spoke about a quarter ago, primarily on account of COVID. We've seen the impact of market disruption really across all our regions. Our API business is actually the only business that actually outperformed in the past quarter. And in the US in particular, the US business had gotten to the level of steadily performing at that 180-190 billion. We had a little bit more stockpiling in Q4, which led to $205 million as the US number for Q4. And in Q1, we saw demand contracting significantly in the market. And for us, the demand contracted 12% versus the previous quarter and 6% versus the previous year. This resulted in obviously a significant reduction of demand. Coupled with that was also the seasonality. So versus Q4, we had the flu products, products like Tamiflu, even products like azithromycin and the cephalosporins that came down significantly as well. One of the third thing that happened in the US was the metformin recall. We obviously had no sales of metformin, which otherwise was a very nice number in the quarter as well. So all in all, these are the three broad areas that really, brought down the US numbers to, a very unacceptable number. Obviously, versus this number in Q2, we're looking at a very significant ramp up. We're seeing that the demand will normalize. We're seeing that we'll have ramp up in products like levothyroxine. We are seeing the winter buy, the seasonality will start towards the end of this Q2 as well. Products like azithromycin, Cephs, even Tamiflu will pick up. Importantly, we will bring Glumetza back to market as well. That's our plan in this quarter. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have albuterol as well. So all in all, while this Q1 in the US has been obviously, unacceptably low, mostly demand driven, we will see a very significant ramp up in Q2 again. Even markets like India, if I may just add, went through exactly the same phase. You've seen it for the industry as well. Especially on the count of acute products, we saw a significant decline in this. Again, June was starting to pick up. July with the lockdowns again dropped. August thankfully is picking up again. We expect sequentially to have stronger numbers even in the India region in Q2. So I think both of these will, while obviously Q1 is an aberration, part of it was expected with the COVID disruption. Certainly we expect a much stronger Q2 coming back.
Right. Ramesh, always you used to tell us about an annual number for US that you would be looking at. Always, you would talk to us about what's happening in the US market. Do you see Q2 normalizing? Probably H2 of this year normalizing? How will the US market normalize?
So you just heard Nilesh talk about the fact that the going rate in the general sense last year was between 180 to 190 million dollars. This particular quarter has been an aberration for the reasons that Nilesh just mentioned: demand contraction, seasonality because of certain sets and the like, and the metformin recall. And we would be introducing back in in Q2. We do expect, in fact, levothyroxine to certainly ramp up, and added to that, we also have albuterol coming in. So we do believe that Q2 would bounce back to the same levels as the previous year, 180, 190 million dollars, and that would set the tone for the next 2 quarters thereafter. So we do expect Q2 to pick up for sure, and the second half to be much better.
Right. Nilesh, you could just re-talk about what's happening with the introduction of metamorphin, which you mentioned, and also what is the timeline for albuterol launch? Does it continue to be what you had guided earlier? Do you expect a delay?
Sure. So on metformin, it was one of those products which FDA flagged as an NDMA issue. So while we had issues with specific lots, we felt it was right to take back the product altogether from the market. We've taken it back, and we've been able to implement a near-term fix, basis which we expect to bring the product back next month in September. So obviously we've been trying to hold on to market share at this point of time so that we can go back to those customers. We expect this will be a meaningful product for us to bring back. So that's our plan on Glumetza. There were two metformin products. In the near term, Glumetza was obviously the much bigger one. That's the one that we're focusing on to bring back to market right away.
Okay, that's the management of Lupin saying that of course Q1 was an aberration, a part of which was expected, but they will come back stronger in Q2 including the US sales. Okay, we will take a very short break right here on the show. When we return, we have got an ET Now exclusive coming in on the fiscal deficit. Stay tuned.